Hey, welcome back to another review, this time of the independent horror film Antibirth. Now, Antibirth is a film that came out around September of last year on limited platforms. Limited theatrical release, and it was on VOD and on DVD and Blu-ray. It's a movie I saw a while back, but I just decided to record a review for it now because it tied in with the sort of mini horror marathon I'm about to start on my channel. And the movie's directed by Danny Perez. It also has a screenplay by Danny Perez. It features music by Eric Copeland and Jonathan J.K. Kanakis. Cinematography by Rudolph Blachek. Edited by Aidan Badahori. And it's about 94 minutes long. And it has a pretty good pace. That's one of the things that I definitely did like about the movie. Is I didn't feel like it was too slow paced or anything like that. There are some moments where there's not a lot that happens, but it focuses more on the character development. And a lot of the characters in this are actually quite quirky and unique and fun to watch, just because of their performances, because of their characterization. Um, the movie is definitely a weird movie. I wouldn't say I agree with the reviews. One of the reviews says it's epically fucked up. This could have been more fucked up, if you ask me. Like, this is quite tame in comparison to a lot of Frank Henenlotter's films. That's what I thought this was going to be like. It was going to be like a Frank Henenlotter movie, based on the trailers and things like that, but it just didn't go all the way. So it really is kind of disappointing in that aspect. It's like, I'm the type of person, if you're going to make this type of crazy movie, go all the way or go the fuck home. Because if you're not going to go all the way, then what's the point? But I still ultimately like the film okay, for the performances, for some aspects of the film, some of the practical effects, the overall idea that I like the soundtrack, the music that the producers, the director and everybody chose for the film. But mainly it's a showcase for Natasha Lyonne, who plays Lou, the main character in this film. And it's really refreshing to see an actress play a role of just a stoner chick who's completely just shit-faced, drunk. She's a fucking mess. It was actually really refreshing to see that because most of the time you don't see that. You see a lot of women in a lot of these films and a lot of movies in general, and I'm not trying to be sexist or anything. It's just a lot of films that you see with a female protagonist. She's not a stoner. She's not actively on drugs. She's not actively drunk. She's not actively a clusterfuck and or a hot mess. And Natasha Lyonne's character is definitely a hot mess. And the direction by Danny Perez is also a highlight. I think he does a great job bringing out the seediness of the story and the script, and a lot of the seedier elements of the film are also brought to life and amplified because of his direction. The writing, though, I think he could have benefited from having another writer, because there were a few things that just didn't really kind of work too well for me, especially the ending. The ending just felt like pretty abrupt, and I don't know. It didn't. It just kind of felt like did it really earn that type of ending? Because it felt a little bit just rushed to me. Like he ran out of money, ran out of time, and that's the best ending you could come up with. So anyway, Antibirth has a plot that focuses on Lou, who played by Natasha Lyonne, who is a hard-partying stoner who lives in a rundown trailer outside of a rural Michigan town where two women have recently gone missing. She wakes up one morning after a party after she got completely wasted at an abandoned warehouse. More like a rave, really. It's not really just a party. It's like a rave. And she finds herself experiencing bizarre symptoms that are very similar to those experienced during pregnancy. Her friend Sadie, played by Chloë Sevigny, believes that she is pregnant and not telling her about it, despite Lou's claims that she hadn't had sex with anyone in nearly a year because she's such a hot mess. After getting a ride from her friend Luke, played by Emmanuel Kabongo, what a last name, to her a cleaning job at a motel, she encounters an eccentric stranger, Lorna, played by Meg Tilly, who is staying in one of the hotel rooms. Now, Meg Tilly is also a real standout in this. Her and Natasha Lyonne were definitely the best things about the movie. Chloë Sevigny, she had her moments, but I would definitely say Natasha Lyonne and Meg Tilly stole the show. And Meg Tilly's a great actress anyway. I think it's really a highlight and definitely a sight to see whenever she's in a film to begin with. But anyway, meanwhile, Gabriel, played by Mark Webber, he's a drug dealer and Sadie's boyfriend. He's keeping a woman hidden in his apartment who has had a really bad reaction to this new and strange drug that Gabriel and his friend Warren have been selling to the locals. One afternoon, Lou loses consciousness. She has these bizarre acid trip hallucinations in which figures from Fun Zone, a local entertainment center, family entertainment center, which is kind of like a really creepy version of Chuck E. Cheese, they give her a vaginal exam, and it's about as weird and unsettling as it sounds. She awakens to find her stomach protruding, and a boil is formed in her foot, which leaks some clear, pussy liquid after she cuts it open with a knife. Now, another thing that's really a positive about this film is the practical effects. This film showcases a good amount of practical effects. There's not a lot of gore, but when it is there, it's done well. The practical effects of the weird pregnancy and of the stuff that's oozing out of her and the way that they make her look really sick are definitely top notch. And Lorna arrives at Lou's trailer unannounced after she's experienced a series of odd symptoms of mental fogginess. She claims to be clairvoyant and noticed that Lou seemed troubled when she had met her at the hotel. She also starts talking about these conspiracy theories and things like that. She's talking about like, she there's this sort of thing like she was abducted by aliens, Meg Tilly's character. And she's talking like, I've had the same symptoms. I had something inside of me as well, and they took it away from me, and they're going to do the same to you, and so on. So the two of them, they end up having lunch at the Fun Zone, where Lorna confesses that she was abducted by an alien while she was enrolled in the military, which led to her being kicked out of the military when she questioned what was going on. Lou confronts Warren, who works at the Fun Zone, about that night before she began experiencing her symptoms. He admits that Gabriel had been trading women to a mysterious man named Isaac in exchange for drugs to sell. At her trailer, Lorna shows Lou a scar on her forearm, where she claims that an implant was inserted and forcibly removed while she was in the military. It ties into the alien sort of thing. Sadie arrives the next day and suggests that Lou see a doctor, but Lou insists that she has not experienced a pregnancy. Lou, Sadie, and Lorna go to visit a abandoned warehouse where the party had occurred the night before symptoms began. There she has a flashback of being injected with a drug by Gabriel at the party. Sadie then confesses that Gabriel had used Lou as his test subject for the new drug, an experimental hormone for women that he has been selling, which causes all these fucked up side effects. She definitely is showing, so to speak, in terms of her pregnancy and things like that. This is like a body horror movie for pregnancy. That's really what it is. It's like a body horror film for the most abhorrent pregnancy imaginable. So back at Lou's trailer, Lorna attempts to give Lou a cesarean section to remove the growth from her stomach. Instead, Lou gives birth to a grotesque animated disembodied head. Yeah, and it's all done practically, and it actually is pretty glorious. Just after the birth, Gabriel and Isaac arrive at the trailer. Isaac reveals that the military is investigating a new way to create a new race that can survive the toxic atmosphere of space, which is technically aliens, I guess. That her lifestyle of hard drinking and drug use provided an ample womb for their experiment. As he explains this, arms begin to emerge from her vagina, followed by the whole of her, this whole giant monster comes out of her and leaves her flesh an empty shell. I don't even know what skell is. That's not even a word. But I'm like, empty shell. It's just like, yeah, the thing just pops out of her cooch, and it's got no head. It kind of looks like some kind of reptilian creature, kind of like something you'd see in the TV show V, or maybe like the creature on the Black Lagoon, but not as good, not as iconic of a design. It was just kind of weird. It's like, how the hell did that happen? So this thing comes out of her cooch this whole time. I mean, it comes out of her out of her vagina, comes out of her snatch, and it's like fully grown and shit, and leaves behind like just some empty flesh, a sack of flesh. And I like the character, so that kind of sucked to see it end like that. I knew it wasn't gonna end well for her. But I mean, that kind of thing was just like, well, that's kind of lame. I honestly wanted to see it end better for her. And that's not what happened. But, you know, all right, whatever. But it's just like the empty sack of flesh thing, just and like a headless monster coming out of her body. It just reminded me of the kind of absurdity of something like Extra. And I don't think that's just necessarily a good thing. Sometimes it is, but not in this case. So then a member of a SWAT team enters the trailer after hearing a commotion. He sees the trailer covered in blood. The full-bodied creature stands in the kitchen holding its head in its hands. Like it's the Christopher Lloyd's character in that Amazing Stories segment called Go to the Head of the Class. Which that's such an obscure reference that I'm pretty sure barely anyone is going to get it. But you should check out that segment sometime because it's a good one. But anyway, yeah, it ends with the creature killed the people, killed the government types, and just holds its head in its hands, and then it kind of fades to black. It's a very abrupt ending that definitely does feel rushed, and it feels like it would fit more in like an anthology segment, but as a feature-length movie, it's not a very satisfying ending at all. But the film was a time waster for me. It was decent because of the performances by the cast, some of the practical effects. It definitely was a very trippy, weird movie. It kept me interested in the proceedings throughout because it just showed this kind of side of life, this really kind of weird, fucked up side of life that you don't see very much nowadays. So that definitely did make it worth a watch. If I saw it for cheap someday down the road, I'd pick it up, but honestly, it's definitely not one of my favorites. I don't think it's worth the 4.8 out of 10 on IMDb. I think that's way too low of a rating. I think the film is better than that just for Natasha Lyonne's performance alone and Meg Tilly. I definitely think it's worth a watch for Natasha's performance. And I would probably think it might play out better for women because maybe there's more for them to relate to. Maybe the horror would be more scary and more it would resonate more with them than it does with me. But it was still it was an all right film. Would I recommend it? It depends. If you like the trailer, you think it looks interesting to you, give it a watch sometime. If it doesn't look like your cup of tea, I'd probably say don't even bother. But anyway, I don't know what else to say about Antibirth, except if I was to rate it out of 5 stars, I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. Yeah, I thought it was a decent movie. So anyway, thanks for watching, and as always, I will see you guys later. See ya.